What is up, folks? Welcome to another episode of Snug Wrestling here live on YouTube, Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it, and Facebook Live for the Monday Night Raw post-show review. This show is actually in loving memory of Jim Shank, who happens to be a 26-year veteran with WWE in their backstage technical production support team. And he lost his battle, unfortunately, with colorectal cancer. Last year, they WWE family had even wound up raising over $200,000 in a GoFundMe for him, with Vince McMahon even donating $122,000 to his treatment. But unfortunately, on the 6th of February, 2026, he lost his battle with cancer and has since passed away. So rest in peace to Jim Shank. This episode of Raw was an interesting one, and I don't mean interesting as in it was entertaining. It was a middling show at best. I think that's fair to say. With 4 matches, one match you could barely call a match, but we'll get into, and a lot of different segments with some high points. But we kick off the show by finding out that Bron Breakker is in fact on the shelf for 4 to 6 weeks or indefinitely, because during a workout at some point, at least they're saying it was during a workout in story, he wound up giving himself a hernia that required major surgery. Of course, the Wrestling News did report that this was a legitimate injury. He did legitimately have to go in for surgery. And it's speculated in the news that he actually had the injury further back than just last weekend, hence why he was taken out of the Royal Rumble early and why we haven't seen him with in-ring competition for at least 2 to 3 weeks. So get well, Bron Breakker. We hope to see you back for Mania season. The current plans in the Wrestling News state that the main match on the card for Bron Breakker at Mania is Seth Rollins. According to the Wrestling Reports, Seth Rollins will be back in time for WrestleMania 42. But we're kicking off the show with Becky Lynch and AJ Lee. But before we get into that, gentlemen, how are you guys doing today? And what are your thoughts on Bron Breakker's hernia surgery?
Dude, I'm feeling good when it comes to the whole cancer portion. The only thing I can truly say is fuck cancer, plain and simple. That's something that we can all agree on, which is fuck cancer. Needs to go. But when it comes to Bron Breakker, that legitimately, I saw reports going on. I watched a clip from Santi's app of him going, right in the middle of the damn Super Bowl is when he starts getting all of these reports about Bron Breakker. So it's going to be very interesting to see how long he's out for, since 4 to 6 weeks, maybe indefinitely. We don't know. Odds are he's absolutely missing the chamber, unfortunately, because Bron Breakker in that chamber would have been so fucking good. But here we are. Which means when Seth comes back, that's going to be the biggest thing for him thought process-wise, is how to deal with Seth Rollins.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good, man. I mean, up until I heard about this whole fucking surgery, man, which sucks because it feels like we spent the entire last year, the entire year, building up Bron Breakker for this WrestleMania that's coming up in 2 months, and then right before WrestleMania he gets hurt, he gets injured. I'm having a hard time believing this, man, because what fucking shit luck is this, bro? Like, he was gonna get a major spot in this WrestleMania, is what the impression was, with everything that's been happening with Bron Breakker and CM Punk and Seth Rollins, and he was supposed to be this was supposed to be his year, is what it felt like. And then out of nowhere, he's got a hernia injury, surgery, whatever, which takes about 46 weeks. And now I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, what is going to happen now? I don't know, man, but I'm a little worried about WrestleMania and also Bron Breakker's push, if I'm being honest, but we'll see what happens with Bron Breakker. Yeah, as far as the show goes, I'm not going to lie. This episode of Monday Night Raw kind of sucked for me, but let's get into it.
Yeah, man. My brother and my best friend have both had hernia surgeries, and they actually had hernia surgery, ironically, within 2 months of each other. My brother actually had 3 that he had to have removed at one time, or they had to go in and put the mesh like bags around them. And then my best friend wound up getting one, and they weren't fun. You know, my brother couldn't even lift. He wasn't even allowed to hold his son, who was only around 2 at the time. He wasn't even allowed to hold him for several weeks. So you know, you can't even hold a child. You can't work out. You can't do impact testing. You can't. I mean, we got to hope that he's cleared in time for the Mania. And I agree with you. I'm worried for his push, man, because you get hurt like this when you're on a big push. Historically, WWE gets scared that you become prone to these types of things, and they wind up taking the gas off you a little bit. So, with that being said, get well soon, Braun Breaker, and heal up nicely. We'd love to have you back. You're doing great, brother. We open up with Becky Lynch and AJ Lee. Now, this originally started because Becky Lynch came out and she was very angry. She came out because she felt like she needed to remind people, oh, I'm the IC champ for the women's division. I'm better than Maxine. You people need to remember who I am. And she had some kind of announcement, and then it was interrupted by AJ Lee, who skips down to the ring and basically taunts and trolls and rage baits Becky Lynch into giving her an Intercontinental Championship match at Elimination Chamber. Now, why I like the fact that they're doing this is because we all thought Becky Lynch was facing AJ at Mania, and they could have a rematch there. However, when it came down to it, AJ brought up a good point. She said, well, I've beaten you twice. I beat you at WrestlePalooza. I beat you at War Games. I'm basically the #1 contender at this point, and I should be. Becky Lynch gets mad and feels like, oh, what do I got to do to get rid of you? You want a match? I'll give you a match. And AJ goes, well, I've already beaten you, so what's in it for me? If you want me to really go away, you got to put that belt on the line. Becky caves and does it. This was great only in the sense that I love that AJ's finally getting her first singles title match in well over 10 years. And I like that AJ used actual continuity and real story beats we've had since she's come back to set this match up. It's not just, oh, I'm Nikki Bella, I get a match. It's, no, I've beaten you in 2 separate matches, and I have gotten involved in other things in your career thus far in the last 6 months. Therefore, I am now the #1 contender, and it makes sense. However, I will say this segment set a precedent for a lot of the show. It was very long in the tooth, meaning that it drug on longer than it needed to, as did a lot of segments tonight. But I really want to say this drug on Becky Lynch's part personally. She was hamming it up, stuttering to the umpteenth degree, trying to overreact that taken aback and angry and manic and mental breakdown thing she was doing. And she went for it about 3 times and it was too fucking long-winded. And it took too long for us to set this match up, in my opinion, for the opener. So glad AJ's got the match, but what did you guys think of the opener?
You expected anything less from Becky Lynch? Really? Like, you have said time and time and time again before you realized, wait, she's Donald Trump in a fucking nutshell, that she is one massive manic puppet. That is literally her entire thing is going, like, going over the top with everything. Literally everything she does is over the top completely, to the point where she is not just Trump, because there's the whole, I've got the best lawyers, best this, best that, best top shelves, all of that shit, best mama's ass. But plain and simple, she's also this massive muppet. She is turned into the female version of Kermit the Frog, only worse. That is what she is turned into. And boy, am I happy that AJ Lee has found her way back, because that it's been quite a bit since the last time we saw her. So I am so happy that she is back, and we are getting the title match that we all wanted to happen.
Yeah, I think we pretty much expected this to go down this way with AJ Lee and Becky Lynch facing each other. But I guess I expected it to happen at WrestleMania, but it sounds like it's happened at the Chamber, right? Because they're in Chicago, which is fine, you know. And yeah, AJ Lee is getting her first title shot, but also her first singles match. And it just happens to be a title shot, which is also crazy because I felt like, okay, cool, AJ Lee is back, but we haven't really seen her a whole lot. And then we see Becky's overreaction, which, by the way, I thought it was one of the most entertaining things on this whole entire show, which says a lot. It tells you how pretty boring most of the show was for the most part. That the most entertaining thing, at least for me, was this opening segment with Becky and AJ Lee. So okay, I didn't really expect Becky's reaction this way because I'm like, okay, AJ Lee hasn't even been on TV for that long. That for you to react this way, right? And then AJ Lee reminded everyone, oh, wait, I beat you in the mixed tag team match at WrestlePalooza. I beat you at War Games and I cost you the Intercontinental Championship. So then, oh, okay. So this does maybe warrant Becky Lynch's overly dramatic overreaction, right? Okay. So that's what got me behind this whole thing. And now I do want to see this match. I want to see AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch. So I got to say, I really enjoyed this opening segment, surprisingly.
Yeah, it actually did work. They had the groundwork in there. If I remember correctly, WrestlePalooza, AJ made Becky tap. I also believe at War Games, AJ won that match for their team by making Becky tap. She caused her to lose the IC championship to Maxine, someone else who has also made her tap. So, in my opinion, her over involvement with Becky, with 2 on the books wins against a champion, in my opinion, beating a champion once constitutes you to be a number 1 contender. You beat her twice, absolutely. But this was a decent opener, if not a little long-winded. Let's move on to the first match of the night, the Usos versus Alpha Academy in a tag team championship match set up from 2 weeks ago, I believe it was, when Alpha Academy beat 3 other teams to get this actual number 1 contendership match for the Usos Tag Championships. Now, this match for me, really solid opener, very fun. I can tell that they are doing a slight repackage of Alpha Academy. They actually said on their entrance, Corey Graves said, this is the first time we've seen this version, in his own words, this version of Alpha Academy in this type of title tag situation. And I noticed that not only did Alpha Academy have new gear, they came out much more serious, still with a little bit of that fun energy to them, but they entered more serious. They have a new pose. They had new merch. They seem more intense, and they took 90% of this match. The Usos were on defense for the majority of this actual bout. And one thing I loved is commentary put over Akira Tozawa a lot, mentioning that he was a massive deal before he came to WWE, mentioning that he had won multiple championships in different promotions, including majorly in Japan before WWE. In fact, they used to call him, I believe, the Stamina Machine, is what he said on commentary, because he was known on the Indies for basically being able to have longer matches and outlast anybody because he's got insane stamina and cardio. This match, Akira looked great, hitting about 4 different suicide dives consecutively. Otis was powerhousing the shit out of Jimmy Uso. We saw during one of the suicide dives that looked like Akira Tozawa's head connected with Jimmy's face and busted his mouth open. They had a very competitive match, although, again, the Alpha Academy took 90% of the offense here and really did lay it in. The Usos had to fight for this win. They did get the win with what was a really cool stereo spear I haven't seen them do before, and then hitting the 1D on Otis for the victory with a great show of respect and sportsmanship after the match between both teams, even putting them over in the post-match interview. And speaking of the post-match interview, I thought this was interesting. Jimmy said that the other thing they need to focus on is Jay needs to win a qualifier. He wants Jay to go into the chamber, win the chamber, go to Mania, and become main event Jay Uso again, which I thought was interesting because Jimmy, why don't you try to get into a qualifier? Why don't you try to get in that singles main event? And it kind of tells me that WWE and Jimmy both know he'll always be an upper mid card guy. So they're using his brother to put him over to go back and try to win in the main event of WrestleMania again. So, guys, what did you think of the match? And what did you think of the comments by Jimmy towards Jay afterwards?
The match itself, I absolutely loved. The Alpha Academy are usually the team that everybody just looks over completely. That everyone just forgets are there, doesn't think they're into it, doesn't think they're intimidating at all, doesn't think there's a chance in hell for them to become tag team champions again. And boy, did they prove that to be wrong on so many levels. They basically pushed themselves completely, giving the Usos quite a bit of a fight the entire match. Like you said, they had a good 90% of this match going completely. Tozawa, holy crap. Hey, Snug, do you see what we mean when it comes to Tozawa now? Do you see what we mean with how good this man actually is? He proved that tonight on how good he is. He showed that off. When it comes to the interview afterwards, there's also one thing that I believe that's going on with Jimmy. And I think that WWE has realized that even with like world title stuff, that's going to end up being Jay's thing, especially with the fact that Jimmy has something else on his mind too. Constantly. Right now, he's also got Naomi and the kid on the way on his mind completely. So that may be another reason why he's told Jay to go after it instead of him going after it.
Well, Tommy. Unlike, I guess, most people, I don't believe the announcers are supposed to put over the talent that are in the ring. Yeah, that's their job. Doesn't mean that it's true. Doesn't mean that they're telling the truth. I mean, yeah, that's nice and everything that they're saying all these great things about Akira Tozawa. But look, I'll get to that later. I want to start off with what I liked about this match because I'm not just gonna shit on this completely. Okay, the Usos got their first tag team victory. Perfect, lovely. The right team won here. Otis looked great. Big fucking guy. The Usos were bumping off of Otis. Otis got his shit in. He looked great. They made Otis look great. However, seeing Jey Uso in the ring with Akira Tozawa is just ridiculous to me. Main event Jey Uso went from wrestling Gunther and LA Knight and CM Punk and all these things, and now he's getting his ass beat by Akira Tozawa. Yes, he's a great athlete. I don't take that away from him, but it just looks ridiculous to me. And not only because of the way it looks, but also the way that he's been presented, Akira Tozawa, as, you know, a comedy gimmick, as a joke and everything. I'm not just going to be like, take this guy seriously just because the announcers are putting him over on commentary the last 2 weeks. So,
well, it's also a slight repackage.
I'm not done,
too.
Blood. Sorry, I'm not done. And so that part I didn't like. And yeah, the whole thing about the Usos or Jimmy Uso telling Jay, hey, you should go for, the Elimination Chamber. I agree that, yeah, what about you, Jimmy? Why don't you go for it? I would like to see Jimmy get a crack at it. And my first thought after seeing this match was, I don't think Jey Uso is going to win an Elimination Chamber anytime soon if he just got his ass handed to by Akira Tozawa.
Well, look, again, here's the thing. It's also, like I mentioned, a slight repackaging of Alpha Academy. They came out more serious. They came out with a new look. They were more serious in this match. They didn't job out here. This was a competitive match that they almost won. And I'd also like to remind you, your point about, well, Jey Uso was in there with the Gunthers and this. Let's not forget, Akira Tozawa got some pretty fucking serious offense in on Gunther a year ago when Gunther was still feuding with Jey for the World Heavyweight Championship. Gunther faced Otis and Akira Tozawa on 2 separate occasions, and Akira gave Gunther some work. Otis beat the shit out of him until Gunther got the better hand. So it's not like these guys are fodder. They almost fucking put Gunther under. And not to mention, people thought the same thing about Chad Gable, who used to be Shorty G, a comedy character booked into hell by Vince for 3 years, who then became the first guy on the main roster to beat Gunther on Monday Night Raw. So keep in mind, history has shown it doesn't matter if you're a main event or not. If you go into a match and you underestimate the person across the ring from you, you're going to get your ass kicked. And there's one thing that Jey said when that interview started. He said, "Hold up, before we go, Alpha Academy, I see you. Y'all are one of the best tag teams in the game. Much respect." That tells me that when they went into this match, the Usos underestimated Alpha Academy and they almost lost for it. So I think this new edged Alpha Academy, I like it. You guys can keep the entertaining stuff, but this was a step in the right direction for rehabilitating their characters into a more seriously taken team in the Monday Night Raw tag team division. All right, gentlemen, moving on to what I thought was the biggest waste of time on this show. Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio come down to the ring because they're going to cut a promo because we think we're finally going to hear who the fuck Liv Morgan is choosing for WrestleMania. Keep in mind, Liv Morgan is the 2026 Royal Rumble winner. She comes down, and let me tell you why this is such a big waste of time. They come out, go all the way down to the ringside, cut straight to 3 minutes of commercials. They come back from commercial, and just when she's finally about to talk after 45 seconds of crowd work, Dom interrupts her and then gives her flowers and calls her the best Royal Rumble winner of all time. They have a very awkward exchange of start, stop talking. And then finally, as Liv is about to speak, because God knows this segment didn't end faster than it lasted, Stephanie Vaquer comes out and makes it her way down to the ring, cuts a full promo in Spanish on Dom and Liv. Liv tries to get Dom to translate. He says, "Oh, I don't think you want to know what she said." I think the truth is he barely understood what she said because Chilean and Mexican are not the same types of Spanish. And Dom responds to her as if she fully understood what he said in return. And then they basically have an exchange where Stephanie says, "Oh, well, Liv, what he said to me was he called himself a bitch." This results in them having an exchange. Liv calls Stephanie a puta, and she smacks the shit out of fucking Dom. And then we don't find out who Liv is facing because Liv said, "You know what? I'm not in a rush to give you an answer, and I'm not in a rush to give Jade Cargill an answer either." Yes, Liv, well, as an audience member, I'm in a fucking rush to figure out who the fuck these women in the chamber are vying for. Because to me, one of the stakes of the chamber is knowing that the other title's up for grabs because someone called their shot against the other champion. So for me, I need you to at least figure out who the fuck you're choosing by next week or the Monday after so we know what the women come to chamber whom they're actually trying to compete against when it comes to Mania. I think that's important, but this was a massive waste of TV time. This was literally just, let's go down to the ring, have an awkward exchange, cut a promo, and then still get nowhere else in this story. Gentlemen, what did you think about this?
I think, where the hell were you 3 years ago?
Who?
Cody Rhodes. Like, blood. Where were you 3 years ago when Cody took so fucking long to choose it? Yes, he did go, "Hey, Rock, I'm not doing it, go ahead. But it took an entire press conference for him to go, hey, you know what? Fuck it. Roman Reigns, I'm choosing you.
Yes, but the difference is Cody's segments with The Rock and Roman, they were entertaining. This wasn't entertaining.
Yeah, Liv is not The Rock. I mean, Liv is not Cody.
We love Liv. She's not The Rock, to where him just showing up is entertaining. That was different because that was Cody getting his spot stolen and the fans fighting and rallying to give it back to them. That's why that took him so long to rip it back away from The Rock. This is, hey, this PLE ended over a week ago, week and a half ago, and now we've got to wait a whole nother week to see if you're going to make a decision. And you wasted our time here by giving us nothing and then just leaving the ring.
Yeah, it also seems like, I mean, it's kind of obvious that she's going to choose Stephanie Vaquer. So it's just like, what the fuck? Just pick her and be on with it.
I mean, can you genuinely, and look, we love Liv, and Liv gave, has a very great chemistry with Rhea. But do you really see Liv and Jade having any kind of in-ring, like, any kind of in-ring chemistry? I mean, they've barely interacted. I think once when Liv went over to SmackDown.
You forget there's a title match this week.
I'm not forgetting anything. I'm talking about the fact that Liv has no chemistry with Jade. She's had no interaction with Jade. So why would she pick Jade? It's a foregone conclusion. You're making us wait when we know it's going to be Stephanie. That's my point.
Yeah, and I don't see Jordynne Grace beating Jade Cargill.
No.
After she's held the title this long, just to be like, all right, we're going to take it off of you now right before WrestleMania.
Yeah, she literally, like, well, to be fair, they did it to Rhea last year with Io out of nowhere. However, Jade's been a champion for 100 days, and Jordynne Grace just got up to the main roster like a month ago. I don't see them giving it to Jordynne Grace because she just got here and the crowd's still getting to know her on the main roster. It makes no sense to swap the title right now. But I don't know. It's just, you're spinning our wheels, WWE. We know it's Stephanie. You know it's Stephanie. It'll probably end up in a triple threat with Raquel involved in my assertion. That's what I'm assuming is going to happen. That's what it feels like with the further cracks, the Judgment Day happening. But at the end of the day, any other thoughts on this, guys?
Yeah, let's let Tommy finish.
So my main thing on this is, yes, it was boring as all hell. Yes, 90% of it, I couldn't even understand. I know zero Spanish whatsoever. So whatever the hell Stephanie Vaquer said, I don't know. Whatever the hell Dom said, I definitely don't know. But my theory is that she said something along the lines of, if you wanted this title, you should have left Raquel for it, or something like that.
No.
Then what did she say, Mr. Forget?
I mean, I understood everything that Stephanie Vaquer was saying, but I don't remember because it wasn't interesting. Nothing about this segment was interesting. Even I don't understand why Dom couldn't just translate for for Stephanie. It's not like,
yeah, at least tell the audience what you guys are saying, because look, it's not like, it's like the whole Bad Bunny thing, right? It's different, right? Everybody was mad that he was doing the Super Bowl in Spanish, but that's music. Music is universal, okay? You don't need to understand what someone's saying to vibe with the music and what you're feeling when the music comes on. This is different. This is storytelling, where there are exchanges here that progress an overall story, and we need to know what the fuck you're saying so we can continue to tell the story. They're in Ohio. I don't know if you know anything about Ohio. I don't think that crowd's, 90% Spanish like a game in California, okay, where they're right next to Mexico, or you're fucking in Miami. This is different. This is Ohio, where they're kissing fucking Canada. Tell the story and tell us what you're saying.
The only reason that I can imagine or come up with that I think they wouldn't translate it is just for timing purposes, because if you translate, then you start this back and forth of, oh, she said this, then she said that, and it just becomes like this weird thing. But it's like
It was
they
weird
do
anyway.
other things, that kind of stalls out the segment anyway, where they're just kind of just standing there wasting time, it seems like. So why
Yep.
not waste time translating so everyone can understand, but
This could have been a backstage segment where she just answered like Jackie Redmond, like, I'm not deciding yet. I'm not in a rush to give Stephanie or Jade an answer. You'll find out when I feel like it. You know why? Because I'm the greatest Royal Rumble winner of all time.
and
That's
also
all it
this
had
makes
to
it
be.
this makes it less interesting, because the interaction between the champion and the challenger, they don't even understand each other. So it's like, who who cares? Who's gonna care about this match when no one knows what they're fighting over besides the championship? But
This
it's
would be
like,
like this would be like Asuka. This would be like if Asuka was in a feud with Stephanie. This Japanese woman having to try to understand this Chilean woman's Spanish and vice versa, and they've got 2 months of promo to build this match, and no one's gonna know what the fuck anyone's saying. And that's the worst part about this. You guys cannot drag this. You have to understand. This is what I said last week. The gap between Chamber and Mania is a month and a half. How long are you going to drag this out? Because people are going to lose interest if Stephanie and Liv don't have enough material to keep a month and a half's worth of story going. And at this point, we're talking 2 months and a week of story that needs to be told before that match at Mania.
It's like,
Tommy,
at this point, just cut the damn promo in English so all of us can actually understand what the hell you were saying. But that's really about it. And that was my only major issue with it. Was, yes, it was boring, but at the same time, I couldn't understand what the fuck they were saying anyways.
yeah, the things that stood out to me about this thing was not the promo or what was said, because I could care less about that. But the whole, giving Liv Morgan flowers and chocolates, that that vase, that glass vase that was in the middle of the ring, I was like, wrestling knowledge or wrestling logic would tell you never bring anything glass to the middle of the ring, because someone is going to get hit over the head with that thing. That didn't happen, unfortunately.
Should have. It would have made this shit much better.
I know.
Something would have happened aside from Dom getting his fucking molars rearranged.
Fucking Stephanie Vaquer fucking cracks it over Dom's head or something. That would have been a nice pop,
And by the way, if you clip this, Snug, what we said, make sure when you clip it, you include the part where I compared the difference between Spanish speaking and singing at the Super Bowl, music being a universal language versus storytelling in a promo needing to be translated for the audience, because promos aren't universal, because then people are going to call us hypocrites.
Why would they call us hypocrites about that?
Because I've been in support of Bad Bunny publicly, and they'll shit all over us in our comments because I defended his performance at the Super Bowl.
No, I've been posting a whole bunch of Bad Bunny stuff on our socials.
But you know how they're going to be. So when it comes down to it, gentlemen, let's move on to the second match of the night. A match I had a lot of high hopes for, and then this fucking thing was a mess. A chamber qualifier for the women's. Ivy Nile versus Lyra Valkyria versus Rhea Bloody Ripley in a triple threat match to determine a spot for Elimination Chamber. And man, oh man, this match started off where I was like, oh, this is going to be good. Hey, this is some good shit. First couple of minutes, I'm into it. I'm thinking, oh, this might be match of the night. We're talking Ivy Nile, super underrated, but great fucking athlete. Lyra Valkyria, insane athlete. And it's Rhea fucking Ripley. What else needs to be said about that? Everything she does is usually great or received very well. This shit, man, I don't know if these girls didn't talk enough about their match ahead of time. We're talking about missed spots, missed timings, sloppiness, a lot of waiting in between sequences, a lot of confusion mid-sequence with roll-ups where they're pausing and waiting. Oh, do I go now? We're talking about the Tower of Doom spot that was actually good. And then right after that was an electric chair spot where it's supposed to be a bulldog from Ivy Nile off the top rope to bulldog Lyra off of Rhea's electric chair move. And Rhea went early and Ivy jumped anyway, completely missing each other, and still had to try and go for a pin. This match was all over the place. Look, I get people have an off night. This was off for all three women. They tried their best to salvage it. Rhea Ripley got the win, and interestingly enough, she got the pin on Lyra and not Ivy Nile. Now, I wanted Ivy to win this because I feel like Rhea and Lyra get enough chances at title shots. All of Lyra's feuds last year were mainly over tag team gold, the IC gold, constantly. And Rhea Ripley was world champ this time last year. She's been a tag champ. She is always in championship-esque matches. And she even had a match for a world title with Io and freaking Naomi last year. So I thought, let's give Ivy a little bit of something. Give her something. Let's take Ivy seriously. She could be a great in-ring competitor if given the chance to show what she can do. Thankfully, she didn't eat the pin. Lyra did. But, man, this match, this was a downer for me. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, Lyra was definitely pissed during a commercial break segment as well. There was an interview with Lyra Valkyria and Bailey, and she told the reporter, "Hey, where are you when I'm actually winning these matches? Why are you always here every time I lose these things? Why?" So clearly, Lyra Valkyria is pissed off completely. So Rhea Ripley, no stranger to these chamber matches whatsoever. But at the same time, WrestleMania just last year, if I remember correctly, was Bianca, Rhea, and Io Sky. That's another fucking title shot that she had literally less than a year ago. Almost a year ago. Like 10 months ago, she had this. So I do completely agree that, yeah, she's had enough title shots, which is why I'm thinking she doesn't win the Elimination Chamber. Because she's already tag champ. She does not need another shot at the world title whatsoever, or at a world title, at least for a minute until her and Io split. So I don't think she's winning the Elimination Chamber here in like 3 weeks.
Damn, Tommy doing predictions already, huh? All right. Yeah, man. This is one of the reasons why I don't really like these types of matches a whole lot. And it seems like we're going to get a shit ton more of these, unfortunately. Even as much as Corey Graves wants to put this over, like, oh, if this is the type of match that we're going to be getting, oh, just imagine how crazy it's going to get. Yeah. If these are the type of matches we're going to be getting, this is exactly why I don't want to watch them, because it just seemed like it was just back and forth of just mistakes over mistakes. And I mean, not everyone can have a perfect night every night, right? These women are all trained professionals, and tonight just was not their night. That's what I'm going to assume, because this match was brutal. I actually like Lyra, and I kind of liked her a little bit more after the Unreal documentary. We kind of saw a different side of her that made her more, I guess, likable to me. So I was kind of rooting for Lyra on this one, but I mean, it's Rhea Ripley. Out of these three women, Rhea is the obvious one to go over here. We just had to sit through this entire match to see that happen, unfortunately. But yeah, man, a rough start to these women's qualifying matches.
Yeah, and I think we still have 4 more slots to fill. So remains to be seen. And remember, guys, we're not ragging on these girls. You know, no one can have a perfect night every night of the week. There's going to be miscommunication, and unfortunately, the more people, the more bodies you have in a match, the easier it is to miscommunicate, to miss time, because you're not just working off the timing of your opponent, you're working off the timing of two. And this just wasn't it, unfortunately, but I do give props to the women for doing their best to salvage it by the end. Let's move on. So before I get into the how Finn hijacked the show, I'm going to get into what set it up and then lead into it. So we get a Judgment Day backstage segment where Dominic Mysterio comes back into the clubhouse and he's being consoled by Raquel and Liv, worried about his jaw after Stephanie slapped the taste out of his mouth. And he says, they're trying to make me defend my IC championship. So we're hearing a little bit more about the next time Dom's probably going to have to defend that. But then Liv says, well, shouldn't you be more worried about, your compadre over here? And then the camera cuts over. We see Finn Balor sulking, sitting down, lost in thought. And what I loved about this segment exchange was Finn was upset that he is being considered an afterthought. And Dominic genuinely actually tried to talk to him and make him feel better. This is something I liked. It wasn't Dom just being, the lying, the cheating, the stealing, the underhanded, conniving guy. He was in this moment just trying to be a friend, talking to his friend. And I liked that moment between them. But Finn took it the wrong way after Dom said, well, when JD's back and he's healed up, you guys can go for tag gold. And that's what sparked Finn. And Finn treated that like an insult. No, you don't understand. I'm not done with Punk. I'm going to be world champion. I'm not going to be an afterthought. And he gets up and storms off. And at the end, we hear Dom say, but you're not an afterthought. After Finn literally says, I thought you're supposed to be my friend. We're supposed to be a family. And Dom looked brokenhearted and said, but we are. And I thought that was a really nice story touch in what is ultimately leading to the breakup of the Judgment Day. I loved this moment. But what this leads to is supposed to be an in-ring segment where Michael Cole's going to interview the World Heavyweight Champion, CM Punk. And unfortunately, Finn, directly after commercial break, hijacks the mic from Michael Cole and starts goading Punk, saying he's done being an afterthought. He's done sitting on the sidelines. He was the first Universal Champion. The last time he had a shot at the biggest title he could get, it was Roman Reigns, and he won't play second fiddle to Roman again. When he had him beat in the ring the first time, 1, 2, 3, and the only thing that saved Roman was the faulty top turnbuckle. This prompts CM Punk to come out, and boy, was he looking for blood. In his own words, he wanted a pound of flesh. Adam Pearce tries to stop it, tries to stop Punk from accepting the challenge at Elimination Chamber for the World Heavyweight Championship. And this also led to Punk accepting Finn's challenge. So we are getting this at Elimination Chamber. I cannot wait for this. Michael Cole tries to ask Punk after, why would you do this? Why would you risk the main event of WrestleMania? And Punk said, there's no risk without reward. I am going to be what these people need, a fighting champion week in and week out. I will be what I always said I am, the best in the world. Gentlemen, I loved this promo. I loved this segment back to back. In my opinion, these two segments combined were the best part of this entire show. Your thoughts?
Completely agree on that. Holy shit. Punk did not hold back whatsoever. Once again, my brain called it before the show even started. I never said it here, but I was always thinking it. With it being in Chicago, we were either getting CM Punk, AJ Lee, or both of them. And boys, we are getting both AJ Lee and CM Punk, both in title matches at the Elimination Chamber in Chicago. So, what a lineup already. We've got 2 Elimination Chambers plus 2 Chicagoans in there. Let's do this shit. But Balor, he has been tossed to the side. He truly has. As much as, yeah, he did basically just have the world title shot in his home country. But at the same time, as he said, he was the first Universal Champion, had to relinquish it next day because he was injured, and then hasn't held a world title since. He's had a crap ton of opportunities for world titles, but not once has he held one since that Universal title run of less than a day, unfortunately. So I'm actually hyped for this match. Punk, go get him, bro. Show him what Chicago does to people like that. Just show him how Chicago deals with their problems, especially when it comes to shit that we have that's ours.
I am so glad that they're doing this with Finn Balor. The way that they're using him, I think it's amazing because, yeah, Tommy, he has had a few chances, but he hasn't held it, the Universal Championship, the World Heavyweight Championship, in years. Do I believe he's actually going to hold it again? Yes. Do I think it's going to be at Elimination Chamber? Not really, but at least they are keeping Finn Balor in that title picture. By doing these little things of, this goes back to last week when CM Punk mentioned Finn Balor while he was in the ring with Roman Reigns. He just walks right past Roman and sends Finn Balor a message. And you have that image of Roman Reigns looking back at the camera like, what the fuck, So it's all connected. This week, Finn Balor shows up in the backstage segment with Dom, and then he hijacks the show. I want you, Punk, and he reminds everyone, I was the one that injured CM Punk. And now Roman Reigns is going to try to take advantage of my kill? No, no, no. So now Finn Balor not only is on the same level as CM Punk, but he reminds everyone, I'm on that same level as Roman Reigns now. I'm in that circle now. So I thought that was lovely. And yeah, man, CM Punk, he wants to get his hands on Finn. He's a fighting champion. It's his hometown. And what better way? Hey, I beat you in your hometown, Finn. Now let's do it in my hometown. Just everything about this is just perfectly done.
What I really loved about this too, one thing that Punk said that I thought really fucking put Finn over was he said, Finn, you think you're an afterthought? No, you're the first thought. You're the first priority. I'm getting my pound of flesh from you. I thought that was great because it told me that the world heavyweight champion, the most over guy on the brand, one of the faces of the company and a champion in that right, and basically the head of the main event, sat there and told Finn Balor, hey, you are on the top of my hit list. I am acknowledging you as a major problem for me, one that I intend to solve, one that you have infuriated me and taken me to my absolute mental limit, that I plan on exacting revenge for that very fact at Elimination Chamber. And I love that because it meant that Finn is being brought back up to that main event status. He is being taken seriously, because nothing says being taken seriously by the company than having the fucking champion of the main brand call you out and beg for the opportunity from the general manager to give him a chance to put his own title on the line against you. I thought that was great. You're not begging for a title, Finn. The champion demanded that you get the match. And that right there was a great piece of business.
Yeah, and also I'd like to add too that Finn Balor did not look like the goofy one, because he was like, yeah, I'm gonna fight you. I want to fight you, but I'm not gonna do it here in Cleveland. The only way I'll fight you, Punk, is you put that championship on the line. And I thought, yes, smart. And it's just everything about this just made perfect sense. That's
And
it.
there
That's
was
all I want to
one
say.
question that I had about the backstage segment portion of it. Where the hell was Roxanne? Because
Oh, we didn't
Raquel
see
was
Roxanne
there.
at all tonight.
Yeah,
But you
that's
know
what I'm
what?
saying. Raquel was back there. Dom, Finn, and Liv. Roxanne Perez was nowhere to be seen in that clubhouse
She might have
whatsoever.
just had she might have just had a personal thing this week or something.
I mean, honestly, nothing on this show needed Roxanne anyway. So
Yeah,
it's
she
like,
wasn't going to
why
be in a
even
match.
have her?
Yeah. Why waste the plane ticket?
But I do want to point out one more thing about that backstage segment. This probably it's probably nothing, but it just sticking out to me so much was the fact that Raquel Rodriguez was wearing the Hot Girls Love Dominic shirt. I don't know why that was sticking out to me. Probably doesn't mean anything, but you never know. I don't know, man. Just saying.
I would say that I'm a little annoyed we didn't get anything out of Raquel this week, considering it was Liv and Roxanne's fault that Raquel lost that match last week against Stephanie for the title to begin with. I was a little annoyed we didn't hear from Raquel about her being aggravated. She was all happy to be there with Liv, and I just thought that annoyed me.
Yeah. And also the way that their tag team match ended on Friday Night SmackDown too was weird.
Yeah.
Because didn't Liv accidentally hit Raquel or vice versa? Raquel accidentally hit Liv.
It was one of the two. But
and then that was brought up again.
But I think it's annoying. I'm like, how are you guys going to have massive moments and matches and spots like that and then not tell us or talk about them? I thought that was dumb, but I digress. Let's move on. I want to keep it brief for this next one. I just want your thoughts, gentlemen, on Adam Pearce having a segment backstage. He had just got Finn Balor out of the building. He's talking to security, and lo and behold, Logan Paul walks up behind him, frame, and then beckons the rest of the division in, and then Heyman gets in Adam Pearce's face, blaming him for the fact that Braun Breaker is out on injury, stating that you got him so mad and so angry that he went home and pumped iron and tried to lift, and then he gave himself a hernia rage lifting. And that's on you. That's your fault. That's a management's responsibility. You did this. And Adam Pearce said, you know what? I know that Braun Breaker, still putting him over, is the future of this company. It's integral that he comes back healthy, and I hope he does. But until then, you guys want in on Chamber Mania? Perfect, because guess what? Austin Theory's got a match tonight in a qualifier. But what was interesting was when they walked away, Logan Paul came back into frame and got in Pearce's face and said, well, because Adam had told him, don't interfere, don't even dare, don't you dare. And it was made as a threat, not a suggestion. And Logan goes, well, if we do interfere, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? And in that moment, Bronson Reed did something interesting. Bronson got in between Logan and Adam, pushed Logan back out of frame. Adam goes off. And then Bronson Reed says, don't worry about him, Logan. He's not your problem. He's my problem now. I thought that was interesting because Bronson Reed is the number 2 to Braun Breaker's number 1 in the division. So if Braun Breaker is out, you got to imagine Bronson's taking the lead now in these upcoming segments for the next several weeks. And I'm interested to see what that means for Bronson's character and his progression towards WrestleMania. What are your thoughts, gentlemen?
As much as a lot of people don't want it because they don't think he's ready for it and all of that. Hey, Adam, how about you put them boots back on, boy? Come on. It's like with the Bronson Reed going, don't worry, he's not your problem. He's my problem. It makes me think that they're starting to hint at something. Maybe a reveal of the masked man. But we'll get to that later. But still, like, maybe we're getting that. Like, I don't think that the masked man is Adam Pearce. That would be a very interesting reveal. But I do not think that the masked man is Adam Pearce. There's just no way. But I digress. Bronson Reed versus Adam Pearce, it'd probably end up with Adam Pearce breaking his ribs over a damn tsunami. But I still would not mind that match at all. I wouldn't mind seeing Adam Pearce in the ring one last time, going up against either Braun Breaker or Bronson Reed.
I would not want to see Adam Pearce versus Braun Breaker. Adam Pearce versus Bronson Reed. I would prefer to see that match if I had the the option to choose between those two. I just don't think that having Braun Breaker get in the ring with the general manager, it would be a good look for Braun Breaker. But hey, that's just me. We've talked about this before. Yeah, it was an interesting backstage segment because it kind of just shows the Vision still not giving a fuck about Adam Pearce and his authority. They're not afraid of Adam Pearce. They're untouchable. They're just running hot shot all over Monday Night Raw, which is cool. I like to see that from a faction like that, a heel faction especially. But yeah, I thought that was weird what Bronson Reed said. He's my problem now. I'm like, what the fuck? Is Bronson Reed a lawyer or something in real life that we don't know about? Is he gonna fucking sue Adam Pearce or something? Come after him in the court of law? I don't know. What the fuck did that mean? Who knows, right? But I couldn't help but wonder because we were talking about, what if the match between CM Punk and Roman turns into a triple threat match and they add Braun Breaker, right? And I wouldn't be a fan of that, right? I'd just rather see Roman versus Punk. But Braun Breaker's injured. And I'm like, if this were to be a triple threat match, I can see Finn Balor being added to that match.
I had that same thought. Same thought at one point tonight because Braun really is going to be more Seth bound, according to the reports, regardless of their injuries. They're both apparently going to be okay in time for Mania. So I think that Braun's story is with Seth right now. I don't desperately need him to be a world champion this early. I'm okay with him winning it at SummerSlam or somewhere down the line. It doesn't need to be at Mania. But let's move on, guys. Up next was something that was aggravating for me. Maxine versus Natty. The newly christened Natty with what I will admit, great remix of her song. I actually enjoyed the new song. But she came out with new gear. I believe this is her first official match on main roster TV in her new gear, her new look, her new music. Because so far we've only seen her attack and not actually in a match. So she gets a one-on-one with Maxine. What pissed me off is Natty comes out, they go to commercial break, we come back, and they cut Maxine's entrance. And I thought, wow, guys, way to put a shine on the new girl you've been building up for the last 7 straight months. That's just awesome. Show the crowd at home that her presentation doesn't matter to you. But if you guys had been better at your time management on the show, like cutting out that bullshit with Liv and Stephanie, you might have had more time for her entrance. Someone who was actually going to compete tonight. Well, until the bell rang, and it wasn't much of a competition. Maxine started this match off aggressive. I loved it. Immediately tried to just spun Natty out of a move that she got in, reversed and countered it straight into the ankle lock. And she got Natty in the ankle lock a couple times, including outside the ring, until Natty got the upper hand, slamming the back of her head into the steel steps and throwing her into the turnbuckle outside, and then clearing the announce table to start aggressively beating her up and then putting her in the sharpshooter until the match ended in count out, which was a disappointment. Now, look, a couple things here. I enjoy the new presentation of Natty. I think it's great. I think they're doing her dirty as fuck with her new match graphic. That face, that picture they have of her doing this. Terrible picture of her, guys. She looks like a man. Fix that because it's not flattering to her in the least. I do like that she's got new gear. I do like the new presentation. I like that the gear says a low-key legend on it. I like that she's serious. It's just aggravating that you waited until she was in her mid-fucking 40s to actually push her for real. That's what's stupid. And you're pushing her at the expense of an actual up-and-coming star. That's aggravating too. However, so long as Maxine gets something out of this, that's great, because at the ultimate end of the day, Natty should be used to be building up Maxine. That's what needs to happen. That's all the work Becky put in with Maxine as well. It'd be all for naught if this was just to bury Maxine in favor of Natty, who won't even be wrestling in probably 2 to 3 fucking years on this main roster. AJ makes the save when Natty won't release the hold on the announce table. As they're walking out, Becky Lynch rears her beautiful head one more time and jumps AJ and then runs off shouting down the ramp. Your thoughts on this, gentlemen?
Well, I have a feeling like this might end up being a tag match at some point. Maxine Dupree and AJ Lee going up against Natty and Becky Lynch. I have a feeling like that's going to happen probably sooner rather than later. But when it comes to Natty, I'm not sure if she had new music or anything, but I know gear-wise, like, even though it wasn't like sleeveless or anything because of where the fuck they were, wasn't her first one technically the Rumble?
Not with new presentations. She didn't come out with a brand new song at the Rumble. This was a fully new remix track tonight. And I mean, as far as her first in-ring appearance in singles competition, the Rumble is just basically entrances and then, whomping on each other until someone gets thrown over a rope. This was her actual first singles bout, new music, new presentation, new outfit, new attitude, in full with a focus on it.
Okay. So this match, if you can even call it that, this thing was like less than 3 minutes. But still, it's absolutely leading to that tag match probably next week. I would not be surprised on that. But it's got to be something leading up to Chamber where that Intercontinental title match is happening. So that's my guess there on what this is leading to, because that is probably the only reason why this match was a thing, besides the whole thing at Rumble that happened between the two of them.
Yeah, I'm glad it ended the way it did, man. I did not need to see another match with Maxine Dupree. Sorry, even though she's from my hometown, allegedly, Sacramento, California. But no, this was better. Natty got to show that she's fierce and she's mean and she's nasty. Perfect, lovely. But then they mixed it up with AJ Lee and Becky Lynch getting involved, which, yes, Tommy, you're right. This is eventually going to lead into a tag team match. And I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to elevate this storyline. They're trying to elevate Maxine. But in my opinion, what it feels like to me is like they're just watering down what could be a really good feud, a really good match between AJ Lee and Becky Lynch, with this feud of Natty and Maxine that, I'm sorry, but I know I'm not the only one that does not care about this. The only way that I'm going to care about Natty, I'm glad that they're doing this new gimmick with Natty. I've been asking for it. I wanted to see it in the main roster, but they have to put her with someone that she can actually have a good match with, that can show what this gimmick actually is, which is an ass kicker, which is a badass in the ring, which is a technical wrestler, which is like what Tommy, you pointed this out, the type of matches that she can have, that she's been having in GCW and in AAA. She can't have those type of matches with Maxine Dupree. They have to put Natty with someone like Stephanie Vaquer. They can have a fucking banger of a match. I know it, because they both know how to wrestle that lucha style. I've seen Natty do it in Mexico with all the lucha, the lucha girls over there. They have some crazy ass matches. So until then, I'm not really too excited about this whole Natty thing. But we'll see how this tag team match goes. I don't know. I don't see Natty being able to do her thing in that tag team match either. But we'll see. I'll keep an open mind. Is blood frozen?
Seems like it.
Ah, no. That's what
How
he gets
long
for.
did he last? He lasted an hour and 4 minutes before the tech decided
Yeah, yeah.
to him.
God damn it. This is gonna be fun editing. Hey, that's what he gets though for skipping over the best part of this whole fucking show, this whole fucking program.
Ah, there he goes.
Is he there?
Picture
Well,
loading.
he's having a rough day today.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
Holy crap, blood. Wow.
Is it storming out there in the Melbourne, Brevard, Florida?
Well, they do have this 5th legendary season, but that's not now.
I heard that somewhere in Florida that it's like hella cold that the fucking iguanas are falling off from the trees and shit. Did you hear about that?
I bet Mr. Iguana is pissed about that.
Yeah. I don't know if this is true, but I guess people are like picking them up and like eating them and cooking them and stuff.
I hope not.
Yeah, still nothing.
Holy crap, what?
Yeah. What's the deal? What's the deal? But yeah, so wasn't the Javon Evans match before the Natty match? Or was that after?
I think it was after.
Okay, so we might still talk about it, hopefully.
Well, we've got 2 other matches other than that. We got that one and then the fucking main event, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, well, we'll see. You good?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. After the whole connection dropped, all the screens were black and swirling.
I don't know, bro.
Anybody? Couldn't hear anybody?
Well, good to have you back.
Okay. All right. Up next is the second to last match, Los Americanos, that being Rayo and Bravo, versus Javon Evans and a mystery partner who turned out to be El Grande Americanos, Chad Gable, the original El Grande Americano. Now, this match went on, and it looks to me like Chad Gable is now a babyface. Okay, he's wrestling face style as El Grande, and now I know that over in AAA he's getting more of a heel reaction versus Ludwig's El Grande because Ludwig is basically a massive over face over there. But in main roster TV and WWE, well, looks like the roles are reversed the way they're technically supposed to be, where Chad is the face, Ludwig is the heel. Javon showed off here. These guys had a great match. Well, I'd say decent match. It was back and forth. It was good. It was a nice, safe, fun match. Ended with Javon Evans getting an insane OG cutter, timing it with a jump off the top rope from Bravo for the 1, 2, 3. And then after the match, of course, El Grande, the Ludwig El Grande tried to attack them both from behind and unmasked Chad Gable's original El Grande Americano until Chad flipped the table on him, tried to pull off his mask, and Bravo and Rayo pulled Ludwig Kaiser Grande out of the ring. This match was fine. It was fun. It wasn't overly long, didn't overstay its welcome. And it was nice for them to finally acknowledge the El Grande versus El Grande feud on actual main roster TV for once in 2 fucking weeks. So I think this was moving the story in the right direction, but eventually this is going to come to a mask versus mask match. I can already tell. What did you guys think about this one?
Yeah, the way it's going to go is very obvious. Surprisingly, the young OG and the OG Americano, were one hell of a tag team tonight. What? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good. Keep going. He's having issues.
Okay. Yeah, surprisingly, those 2 were one hell of a tag team tonight. They worked really, really well tonight. They really did. So, El Grande Americano, the original, and the young OG, I would not mind seeing those 2 in a tag match again. I really would not, because of how good those two actually are together.
Yeah, dude, this was my favorite part of the entire show, if I'm being honest, man. When I saw that Javon Evans had a surprise partner, right? I was like, there's no way they're gonna team him up with the OG Americano. Nay, he's not the OG Americano. He's the fake Americano. This guy over here. Who puts on a wrestling mask and pretends to be a Mexican luchador? Like, who does that? The ultimate disrespect. How dare this man call himself the original Americano? That's fucking insane. And by the way, Javon Evans, I got heat with you, bro. You used to be cool, man. I used to think you were cool. I used to like you, you know, and you're going to line yourself up with that good for nothing, lie, cheating, and stealing lucha guy, you know. And for all the people in Cleveland that were cheering for this man, this is a man that just 2 days ago beat up another luchador backstage and handcuffed him right before his match. That's the type of guy you guys want to cheer for, Cleveland? Okay. All right. But anyway, besides that, I love this because it's just crazy how just 2 days ago he was a massive fucking heel, and then we fast forward and he's getting cheered, and the real Americano is the bad guy all of a sudden. That's just pro wrestling, man, and that's why I love it so goddamn much, because you can be over in one place and you can be hated in a completely different city just days later. It's a lovely fucking thing, man. It's amazing. The match was dope. Javon Evans hit a one hell of a fucking cutter from the top rope, perfectly executed. Fucking RKO out of nowhere is the feeling that I got. Um, Randy Orton's got to step up his game. He's got to outdo this one by Javon Evans, the one he pulled off tonight. This was awesome, man. I loved it.
All right, moving on to the main event, the final qualifier for the chamber match for the men's this evening. Penta versus LA Knight versus Austin Theory. Now, this match, I thought it was really good. I'd even call it match of the night, but that's not a very high. When you really think top to bottom of the matches this evening, that's not a high standard. I mean, the opener and this one were the two of the best matches of the night because they had the most substance to them. They had the most story going into them, and they also just had the biggest stakes. When it came down to it, LA Knight and Penta decided to work together to take out Theory, take out their frustrations. Of course, they've both been victims of the Vision over the last few months. Everybody looked great in here. LA and Penta turned on each other. They've got great back and forth. LA took a lot of the control of this match, beating the brakes off these guys, bouncing their head off the announce table 10 or 12 times total, between the both of them. This match went and went. We had some really good spots. Another Tower of Doom spot, by the way. Some really, really good stuff from Penta. That really awesome kind of flip over backbreaker, backstabber he did in the corner. Austin Theory looked great. And of course, when the match is toiling down and it looks like LA Knight is about to win, here comes the Vision. They beat him down. He gets hit with the tsunami. Obviously, you've got Paul Heyman there acting like he had nothing to do with it. I didn't tell him to come out here. This wasn't me. I did what you said. I didn't get involved. I didn't get involved. And of course, just when we think the win is going to go to Austin Theory, out of nowhere, he gets yanked out of the ring by another masked man. Okay? Another masked man. And this time we can't say it was Theory. We can't say it was Logan. They were both out there. We can't say it was Pierce. He was out there. So, and we know it wasn't Bronson Reed because he was also out there, and that's not his body type. But when it came down to it, now the real questions begin. We know from wrestling reports that Seth Rollins is apparently going to be cleared in time for Mania. Could that actually have been Seth Rollins? Because I'll tell you one thing. This week, That body type, the way those clothes were being worn, the size looked very different than the person who interfered in the Rumble. First thing I noticed was the way this person landed off the stomp, the way they stood, the way their body moved when they turned around, their mannerisms. It felt very Seth Rollins, very Seth Rollins. And this person that hops the barricade, runs away. Austin Theory, of course, getting left alone after Bronson Reed and Logan Paul chase the masked man out of the arena, runs into a BFT for the 1, 2, 3, and finally, we put some respect on L.A. Knight, his name, and this man qualifies for the Elimination Chamber. It's about goddamn time they gave this man something. What did you guys think of this main event?
It's about damn time LA Knight gets some damn respect, because they have been throwing him to the wolves and out the damn window for like a fucking year now, at least. So, LA Knight, get your ass in the chamber, win that shit. At the moment, with who we know is in there, my pick is Knight. We don't know who the other ones are. But out of the men that are currently there, Knight needs it the most. Especially with the fact that he got thrown away when it comes to Money in the Bank. Rumble, he was pretty damn close last year, I'm pretty sure. This year, same thing. Came out in like the 20s, I'm pretty sure. So, LA Knight seriously needs to win something and get his hands on a world title. He absolutely deserves this. When it comes to Rollins, I'm still a little bit iffy on that. Because yes, it did feel like Rollins, but the surgery was not that long ago. That's the biggest thing that's stuck in my head. Wasn't that
mean,
like
he had the surgery before Christmas.
Oh, that's right.
It's been about he had surgery roughly 2+ months ago already.
Wow,
yeah, that's true.
But it came to that. But if it is Rollins, makes me wonder what in the world's going to be up with Theory, knowing the fact that if that is Rollins underneath that mask, he costed Theory the spot in the Elimination Chamber. So, is he still a spot in there for Rollins? Is that just a ploy? We don't know. But that's the biggest thing, is the fact that if that is Rollins, he just made a giant mistake costing Theory the spot in the Elimination Chamber, which could have brought him to a world title.
Well, again, it's maybe, remember, if he's a sleeper for or a sleeper for Seth, Austin is willing to take the bullet for Seth because he's already willing to play the part by being the infiltrator. The whole goal is to rip them apart from the inside out. He doesn't want to realistically then win the chamber, because then the Vision gets a major spot at WrestleMania. And that puts them in a position they're trying to probably keep the Vision away from. If Austin is in fact working for Seth, his goal is to make it look like he's trying his hardest and getting screwed over. So they can't look two ways at him and go, you're up to something. That's the whole point. He's got to play the part to a T. That means he's got to take some sacrifices to make this work. But one could also say it's someone else. And maybe this whole thing of us thinking it's Seth Rollins is all one red herring, and it's somebody none of us have even thought of yet. And that's another thing I'm excited for. What if we're all just completely wrong, period, and it's someone that none of us can think of that have something to do with this story somewhere along the way that we're just blanking on for some reason?
Man, I hope that's not the case, Blood. I would hate to see Austin Theory look like a fucking fool that way, to be honest. But we've also been seeing Seth Rollins on TV on the NFL ESPN channels and stuff without a brace, moving around. So yeah, I also believe it's Seth Rollins under that mask. It makes the most sense to me, at least. The match itself, I like all three of these guys, man. And LA Knight was the obvious answer to win this one. It makes the most sense. But I'm at the point where I'm over this whole LA Knight thing. Yes, the fans love him. Yes, he gets pops wherever he goes. But Austin Theory's the new shiny toy now. I wanted to see Austin Theory or even Penta. I would love to see Penta in an Elimination Chamber match, because of him being in the WWE for a year and the way that he's been used. And, he had a major spot at Money in the Bank. And, if you put him in the Elimination Chamber, that's just one more thing that Penta can add to his accomplishments as a WWE superstar, which that's always cool to see. But yeah, LA Knight won it. It was another triple threat match. The Vision ran out there again because they don't give a fuck about what anyone says, despite Adam Pearce telling them not to get involved. So it's going to be interesting to see what the consequences are going to be for the Vision, because Adam Pearce, he's going to have something to say about that. It took a while to get to the point. I was kind of getting over the match where I was like, okay, can we just get to it? But it was worth the wait. I liked it.
Yeah, and also I disagree where I don't think it makes Austin Theory look dumb. He was protected in the finish because remember he was attacked and stomped, then thrown into a BFT. So he was protected because he had already been jumped as well. It's not like he ate it clean. So I think it still keeps him protected in the finish because he got his ass beat before he got finished.
No, that's not what I meant. When I said I wouldn't want him to look dumb, is like, oh, I'm gonna let Seth Rollins stomp me out and cost me this match, my spot in the Elimination Chamber, so I can make the Vision think that I'm not really infiltrate, all that stuff.
But it's not the first. We've seen it before, most successfully, and I'll tell you, the Shield. The night before Seth Rollins turned, he had an entire match with the Shield versus Evolution, where he already had agreed to screw John Moxley, at the time Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns, over the next night. He was plan B and had been for a while, and they let us know in promos within the weeks that followed that they had approached Seth a while after, and he bided his time to screw the rest of the Shield over. He was willing to get his ass beat for weeks, get attacked, have a match, almost lose, just so he could blindside them when the time presented itself. And it's one of the most successful heel turns of the modern era. So I don't think it's a stretch to say that, if you're willing to play the long game, you're willing to take a few shots to get to the ultimate goal, the ultimate ulterior motive. If anything, it's just playing the part to perfection. That's my opinion. But, gentlemen, that was the Monday Night Raw review on Snug Wrestling. And of course, if you love kicking it with us, you can hang out with us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday night after Raw, NXT, and SmackDown go off the air, respectively, for live post-show reviews. And of course, you can always hang out on our social medias during the shows for segment-to-segment reaction content, headed up by Edgar, the founder and host of Snug Wrestling. Then you can chill with us every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, and 8 o'clock Central on TikTok Live, where myself, Mr. Blood, and the head and founder of Snug Wrestling, Edgar, go one-on-one for random and relevant wrestling topics for 1 hour, again, on TikTok Live, where we'll also answer your fan questions live as well. And of course, you can always view our shows while we're doing these shows throughout the week, live on YouTube, Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it, and Facebook Live. And if you miss them while they're live, that's okay. We have an entire library on Apple and Spotify, and you can follow us over there and catch up on all of our episodes, blood drops, and week-to-week segments. And of course, we've got predictions coming up in 2 Wednesdays for 2026's Elimination Chamber. Guys, thank you so much. Until next time, stay safe, stay savage, and stay snug. And remember to support the podcast by heading over to our tpublic.com/snug wrestling to pick up your Snug Wrestling merch, where we've got over 100 designs across tons of different apparel items and merchandise. So again, one time for the one time. Tommy, I said that was
Four letters. One word.